Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Yusuf Hosny. I'm here to talk about one of the greatest international movies that won lots of awards and was also a changing point for the director himself. The movie that I'm going to talk about is called La Strada. It's an Italian drama film that was screened in 1954. We will discuss the production history of the movie, where we talk about the people who helped in making the movie, also talk about some of the actors and their casting, along with the awards that the movie took, and the background of the movie with also the music. At first, we need to give credit to the people who helped make this movie come to life. For example, Federico Fellini, who was not just a director, but also it was his story with the help of Tullio Panilli, and also he helped in the screenplay with also Tullio Panilli and Ennio Flaiano. It was produced by Carlo Ponte and Dino De Laurentiis by the production company called Point de Laurentiis Cinématographique and was edited by Leo Gattuso. It was distributed by Paramount Pictures, where it was released on the 6th of September in 1954 in Venice, and then released the rest of Italy on the 22nd of September in 1954. Next we go to the cast of the movie, where there was 5 important characters in the movie, starting with the stars of the movie, Julita Messina, who played as Glesomina, and Anthony Quinn, who played as Zampano. Moving on to the rest of the cast, who also still had an impact on the story of the film, like Richard Basehart, who played as the Fool, and Aldo Silvani, who was the circus owner, and Livia Venturini as the nun. Julita Messina, born 22nd of February 1921 and died on 23rd of March 1994. She was an Italian film actress, best known for her performance of Glesomina in La Strada and Cabiria in The Night of Cabiria. Both films won Academy Awards for the Best Foreign Language Films and were described by their director, Federico Fellini, as having been inspired by Messina's humanity. She began to work as a voice actress on a radio during the war, which earned her more money and attention than stage acting. It was as a radio artist that Messina met Federico Fellini, a radio show screenwriter. They married in 1943, and 9 years later, Fellini took her to star in La Strada. Moving on to casting, Fellini secured financing through the producers Dino De Laurentiis and Carlo Ponte, who wanted to cast Silvana Mangano, De Laurentiis' wife, as Glesomina, and Burt Lancaster as Zampano, but Fellini refused these choices. Julita Messina had been the inspiration for the entire project, so Fellini was determined never to accept an alternative to her. For Zampano, Fellini had hoped to cast non-professionals, and to that end, he tested a number of circus strongmen. He also had trouble finding the right person for the role of the Fool. His first choice was the actor Marlo Rossi, who was member of Fellini's social circle and had the right type of personality and athletic physique, but Rossi wanted to be an assistant director, not a performer. Alberto Sordi, the star of Fellini's earlier film The White Sheik and I, Vitolini, was eager to take the role and was bitter disappointed when Fellini rejected him after a tryout in costume. Ultimately, Fellini drew his 3 leading players from the people associated with the 1954 film Donne Probate, Angels of Darkness, directed by Giuseppe Amato, in which Messina played the very different role of a madam. When it comes to sound, it was a common practice for Italian films at the time where shooting was done without sound and dialogue and was then later added along with music and sound effects. As a consequence, cast members generally spoke their native language during filming. Since Quinn and Basehart did not speak Italian, both were dubbed in the original release. Composer Mike Shion has observed that Fellini's particularly exploited the tendency of Italian films of the post-war period to allow considerable freedom in the syncing of voice-to-lips movement, especially in contrast to Hollywood's perceived obsessive fixation, with the matching of voices to mouth. The visual track in the 1956 English language version of La Strada was identical to the original Italian version, but the audio track was completely re-edited under the supervision of Carl and Peter Riethoff at Tira Sound Studios in New York, without any involvement by Fellini. The entire score for La Strada was written by Nino Rota after principal photography was completed. The main theme is a wistful tune that appears first as a melody played by the fool on his kit violin, and later by Glessomina on her trumpet. Its last cue, in the penultimate scene, is sung by the woman who tells Zampanò the fate of Glessomina after he abandoned her. This is one of 3 primary themes that are introduced during the title and the beginning of La Strada, and they recur regularly throughout the film. For La Strada, Fellini used a variation by Arcangelo Corelli that he planned to use on the soundtrack. Rota was unhappy with that plan, so then he wrote an original motive with rhythmic lines matched to Corelli's piece that synchronized with Glessomina's movement with the trumpet and the fool with the violin. The film premiered at the 15th Venice International Film Festival on September 6, 1954, and won the Silver Lion. It was then released in the rest of Italy on 22nd of September 1954, and in the US on 16th July 1956. In 1994, a remastered print was financed by filmmaker Martin Scorsese. La Strada has become one of the most influential films ever made, according to the American Film Institute. It won inaugural Academy Award for Best Foreign Language Films in 1957. It was placed 4th in 1992 British Film Institution Directors' list of cinema's top 10 films. La Strada won more than 50 international awards, including an Oscar in 1957 for Best Foreign Language Films, the first recipient in that category. In conclusion, La Strada is one of the best movies made in Italy, and it showed that by all those awards that it won, with the Oscar and also the Best Foreign Film. It wouldn't have won all those awards without the cast and the crew members in the film who worked hard on making this movie perfection. And also, it wouldn't have been done without the inspiration of Jolita Messina.